بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, peace be with all of you. In the name of His Excellency, Professor Jamal Sanad al-Suwaidi, the Director General of the ECSSR, it's an honor and a pleasure to welcome all of you today in the UAE and its consolidation of a culture of tolerance and coexistence locally and globally, which comes within the context of ECSSR's participation in the Year of Tolerance, and based on his keenness on underscoring this great value. Now I would like to start with the keynote opening speech by His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad al-Suwaidi, Director General of the ECSSR, which will be given on his behalf by Mr. Murad al-Blushi. Please, the floor is yours. In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, peace be with all of you. It's an honor to welcome all of you to the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, the ECSSR, and I would like to thank all of you for accepting our invitation to attend this forum entitled the UAE and its Consolidation of a Culture of Tolerance and Coexistence Locally and Globally, which comes within the context of the Center's interaction with the declaration by His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the UAE, God bless him, as he declared the year 2019 to be the year of tolerance, which underscores the status of the United Arab Emirates as the global capital of tolerance, and to further underpin this sublime value by considering it a key and sustainable value. Those great values of tolerance, dialogue, and accepting others, and openness to different and diverse cultures. Ladies and gentlemen, the organization of this forum by the ECSSR, which is entitled the UAE and its Consolidation of a Culture of Tolerance and Coexistence Locally and Globally, is fully aligned with the directives of our wise leadership to endorse a number of initiatives and research contributions and specialized studies in the field of tolerance to underpin those values in the culture sphere and the religious and social spheres as well. The Center, through such activities and forums, which brings together a host of specialists and experts and those who are interested in the field of tolerance and coexistence, to implement the directives of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister, Ruler of Dubai, God bless him, to ensure that the year 2019 will be teeming with these culture and media and intellectual initiatives which embody the value of tolerance in the Arab world and in the region and globally as well. Ladies and gentlemen, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, God bless him, pointed out that the societies that are based on the values of tolerance, love, and coexistence are the ones that are capable of achieving peace, security, stability, and development. And they are the ones that can boost the achievements and successes of their nations towards a better future. And from this perspective, we would like to stress that all research centers and all the relevant and competent similar centers should do their very best to instill the value of tolerance in the hearts and minds of different people and societies as well. And in this regard, we have launched the program of tolerance on the 6th of January with participation of many sheikhs and imams in the United Arab Emirates, as the program focused on underscoring the value of tolerance and coexistence and accepting the differences with others and linking tolerance to the UAE national identity by focusing on key experimental and research aspects in which sheikhs and imams would focus on promoting the culture of tolerance according to the different techniques used in this regard. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite confident that the participation of this outstanding host of experts in this forum and the issues that will be discussed will definitely highlight profound visions on how to underscore the values of tolerance and coexistence according to the vision of our wise leadership. I do hope that you will be fully successful in your endeavors, and thank you, and peace be with all of you. Would like to thank you very much, Your Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Al-Suwaidi. Thank you for your speech. Now we will play a video about the late Sheikh Zayed and tolerance. God bless his soul. Tolerance is a duty, a virtue. The Almighty Allah is tolerant. On the screen.
خلقنا ما نتسامح. نحن بشر كلنا اخوان. كلنا اخوان. اللي بيشيل على هذا الطريق ولا بيشيل على هذاك ولا بيشيل على هذا. المصيب هو غلطان اخو. طيب ليش ما نساعد الغلطان نجيبه الى الصواب؟ ونسامح الغلطان اذا غلط حتى انه يفهم ان نحن والله ننجده. ما نتركه ولا ننبذه، لا بل أننا ننجده ونساعده حتى يجي على الطريق الصحيح. أي إنسان بيسعفه إنسان بينساه؟ ما ينساه. وإن نسيه صديقه بيقول له ها نسيت هذا الإنسان اللي أسعفك في هذاك الوقت اللي كنت أنت تعبان؟ فلا بد أن يرجع إلى صواب. لا بد أن يرجع للصواب.
May Almighty Allah have mercy on the soul of the late Sheikh Zayed. Now with the first keynote speech that will be given by His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Nahyan, the Minister of Tolerance. Please, Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, thank and praise be to God, prayers be upon His Messenger, Prophet Muhammad. Your Eminence Abdullah bin Bayya, the advisor, Mr. Ali Al-Hashimi, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, members and staff in Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon you. I greet you and the best greetings, expressing my great happiness being with you here today in this symposium, which is held in timely, simultaneously with the Year of Tolerance under the title and heading Emirate Consolidation and Entrenchment of Tolerance and Forbearance, Coexistence, locally and universally. Emirates Center for Strategic Studies. In its organizing of this symposium reflects truly the vision and insight of our beloved President, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Deputy Supreme Commander of Armed Forces in United Arab Emirates. This patriotic leader who saved and protected and enhanced progress, security, safety, settlement, and stability is achieving again all of this without distancing away from or alienating from our identity or break or interruption of authenticity, which is characterized by our pride of our culture, traditional culture, Islamic heritage, a human heritage too, which enhances and urges for justice, tolerance, and also leniency, also acculturation, cooperation, fully among all the nations. I take the opportunity to advance and further on behalf of all of you for His Ex-Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed all the thanks and all the greetings and respect, appreciating his care for being or having tolerance as integral part and component in our society. Also, we take a pride and we emphasize too in the year of tolerance that societies and communities that are based and furthering the values of love, coexistence, and tolerance are the societies that can achieve peace, security, safety, and stability, and growth, even for all people and in all aspects of life. We take a pride, and we feel proud and honored. His Highness emphasizing the role of the leading role United Arab Emirates is doing in the context and in the path of entrenching and spreading the values of tolerance and coexistence among all nations and among all people. That is locally and globally. My main pleasure springs also, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, come from also from the light it shed on the achievement that is stretching and emanating from the legacy of late Sheikh Zayed, the state founder, may his soul rest in peace, in the field and context of tolerance, coexistence. And he is a great leader who were totally conscious to the historic role in forming and formulating the future of the state on solid grounds that enable all the citizens of and compatriots of the country for achieving and progressing in all fields of life, in all walks of life. Peace be upon his soul. Was very wise in the resolutions he made, in the achievements he also achieved. He was open to all, friendly to all, brave, courageous in dealing with all the challenges, broad-minded, would listen to all opinions, whether with him or competent to his opinions. He was very careful to promote the values of coexistence, peace, and tolerance in the world. He was characterized. He was of chivalry, modesty, and he was so generous, so bountiful. His bounty and his generous hand reached all, locally and universally, and without any exceptions. Our father Sheikh Zayed May God has mercy on him. An example and model for justice and the respect of the rights of all the citizens living in this country, and treating all the people equally, on equal foot. He had confidence of self, confidence in himself, and a great capability to achieve the goals of the nation. A great faith in the future, a bright future that is awaiting United Arab Emirates in all fields and walks of life. We are greatly proud that late Sheikh Zayed, the founder of the nation, has got and obtained the love and respect of all. We consider and deem him as a father for all of us. We take great pride in the achievements he made for our nation. He achieved welfare and stability in our society. He took care of a human. I see some latecomers who are just joining us. We are proud of the legacy he made: a consolidated society, strong state, successful in all standards. May his soul rest in peace. All his words, sayings, and deeds were very careful to communicate with all the society, and he took care of the women too. He took care of family. He took care of the Emirati youth. And he took care of all types of people. He was very careful to spread the values, the human values, the noble human values in our society and in the world as a whole. When I'm talking about tolerance, coexistence, in the thought of Sheikh Zayed, I always point to some principles that embody for us an eternal, everlasting legacy left the founding father, late Sheikh Zayed. The first of these principles, from my perspective, is loyalty and adherence to the righteous religion, to the family, to nation, to the Emirati people, to the Arab nation, to the Islamic nation too. He took this as a path for achieving peace, coexistence, and welfare, locally and globally. The second principle, love of nation and belonging to the state and working for achieving its ambitions, stability and welfare. Through knowledge, through science, and benefiting from the experience and of the best practices in the world. Also understanding and comprehending the past, appreciating and appraising the present, looking forward to the future in confidence and optimism. The third principle is courage and taking responsibility, to be initiative, to face all the challenges, and helping to grow the capability for collective work to achieve the welfare and the progress of our society. The fourth fundamental principle is capability to communicate positively with the others and enhancing the values of tolerance, coexistence, and understanding and appreciating the other cultures, the diversity among cultures and among nations, and working for achieving a justice in society and respecting the human rights in everywhere. The fifth fundamental principle is caring on all patriotic and nationalist values. Part of it is in the innovation and the creative thinking and a successful and purposeful achievement within a comprehensive and integral system to achieve the sustainable development towards the best. All of this in the context of caring, all caring, that a human in the living in the United Arab Emirates as a model and example in human behavior and social behavior. As we listened and saw in the video to the founding father, late Sheikh Zayed, that this occasion is a good event in which we take proud of the eternal and timeless legacy of the high end left by our late father, Sheikh Zayed. That is promoting tolerance, serenity, and peace among people, which reflects and lends itself in form of communication and positive dialogue between all societies and communities, between all cultures, as a path and a way to build fruitful relationships in the world. The Emirati model in tolerance left by our father Sheikh Zayed respects the particularity of humanity, his beliefs and the human beliefs, choices, is a model that will accept and tolerate diversity in the beliefs and the creeds of all people. It's a model that focuses on entrenching cooperation and collective work between all people and nations for achieving the prosperity and welfare of everyone. We learned from the founding father, ladies and gentlemen, that tolerance in the Emirates is life itself, and living in peace with others, and getting to know them, and correcting the fallacies about them, and realizing the values, their particular characteristics. And in this, an invitation to everyone to understand and appreciate the positive relations among all cultures and faith, taking a pride at the same time in the national identity and the national culture. Tolerance in the deeds and sayings of late Sheikh Zayed gives us the room and gives the chance for all those who are living on this good land to contribute positively in the society in marching towards and have a role to reach and communicate the message of Emirate which is reflected in tolerance and coexistence, and to be a connecting chain with the other worlds, showing tolerance, coexistence. Late Sheikh Zayed was always highlighting that coexistence and tolerance are effective tools to control all the people living in this country and the much of the society, while practicing public services and voluntary work and taking the righteous behavior, and to be able to eliminate all feelings of marginalizing or depression or slacking, and be capable also to reject all the extremist thoughts that will be subservious and that will promote violence and destruction. Peace be and mercy be upon his soul. He saw tolerance in the Emirate as an integral and important part of to consolidate the state of the country in the world, and as an effective rule in formulation of our foreign relations with the other world. He used to tell us, advise us, saying that our message that in the Emirates, as an Arabs and Muslims, we are totally careful to achieve coexistence, communication, and rejecting extremism, hatred, and bias for achieving peace, stability in the whole world. In short, ladies and gentlemen, our late father Sheikh Zayed made United Arab Emirates a natural place for tolerance, coexistence. We praise God that the leaders of the nation are following the pace, and we see this clearly in the directives and the works of President of the country, His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, may God protect him, and in the directives of His Highness Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy and the ruler of Dubai, and in the directives and deeds of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Deputy Supreme Commander of Armed Forces, and in the deeds and sayings of Sheikhs, Highnesses, and Federal Council in the United Arab Emirates. The leadership, the wise leadership in this country, starting from the founding father Sheikh Zayed, was a main factor in what we see and witness today in our beloved country, especially the values of tolerance, coexistence, and prosperity we are witnessing every day here. It's by the grace of God and the virtue of God that this state that we have, praise be to God, people, tolerant people, peaceful people, in nature, careful to enhance and build a leading, pioneering model for tolerance and coexistence established by the founding father. This is along with what the country has of a strong system, instrumental institutions, wise directives and legislations, and deep coherence between the people and the leaders. Today, in the year of tolerance, we proudly mention and proudly recall what the founding father has left in us of the values of tolerance and moral values that all people have absolute right to live in dignity, safely, and in security. Today, by the virtue of God, we live in a country that embodies a civilized model in its growth and coexistence, which imposes on us a duty and responsibility at the same time to spread our values around the world. This model, this successful model for building a better future for humanity in this diverse world, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm talking to you now as a Minister of State for Tolerance, I'd like to indicate that the establishment and institutionalizing of this minister and what follows this of the Year of Tolerance came as a strong announcement that the state regards tolerance as a main component for the present and the future. The establishment of this ministry is a great declaration and sign that coexistence and forgiveness is our noble values in our society, and they are the basis for stability and living in peace. And that will achieve the good for everyone. The clear message of this Ministry of Tolerance, is reflected that this ministry is for all those who are living in the country. Citizens, expatriates, man, women, youth and old and elderly, healthy, or those others, for ministries and institutions, companies and institutions, and the determined people, labor, in addition to communication with the brothers and the friends around the world, and working together with all organizations around the world. The working plan in the ministry focuses on many aspects. These aspects are education, social and community awareness for all types of people and the classes of people, focusing mainly on family and youth, in addition to coordinating with all the social and society institutions for spreading the principles of tolerance and coexistence, and promoting all the citizens in this country to contribute in the march of our society, which will also add to the world march towards these values without bias and prejudice or extremism or hatred. The ministry also plays a great role in generating of tolerance around the Emirates, in addition to organizing events and activities that embody the concept of tolerance in reality, along with achieving positive communication between all the communities living and expatriates living in the country. This is in addition to achieving an ambitious program for researches and studies, and putting the measures and standards that to measure the tolerance in this country. Also, the ministry has a big role to play in spreading the culture of tolerance around the world. We are essential partner in all agreements and covenants in the world that are linked of rejecting hatred and violence and achieving peace in the world. We also having great responsibility in familiarizing the world of the Islamic and Arab culture, and to explain to the world that Emirates is a successful extension to what the Islamic societies have been characterized for in diversity and ethnicities, diversity, and how the genius of the Islamic religion made this diversity a strength, creative strength, positive strength. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, allow me to indicate briefly to some additional notes relating to the topic of this symposium. First, I welcome and I'm very happy to be with you today because I'm totally convinced that dialogue and discussion about the model of culture and tolerance in this country is a good and efficient tool. Doesn't reflect in any way alienation from the identity or negligence or ignoring the principles and beliefs or separation and the break from the history and our traditional legacy. On the contrary, tolerance reflects the authenticity of our history and our valuable legacy, our culture, and how we are capable of building civilization. We are also the owners of entrenched rules that will qualify us to be a model for the whole world. Secondly, tolerant societies is like any other human society will face some important and serious challenges we must take heed of, and facing these challenges with determination and grit. Some of these challenges that we must face is reflected in extremism and violence, terrorism against civilians, which makes now a radical challenge for many countries around the world. There are some political reasons for this, some religious or economic reasons for this, sometimes social reasons for these phenomena. All of these reasons lead to destruction that will promote bias, prejudice, and hatred to the others. We must realize that combating these obnoxious phenomena is the responsibility of all the individuals, organizations in our society. Combating terrorism and extremism require also international cooperation so that work will focus on spreading tolerance as an integral part of the bigger system of combating terrorism around the world. It is a system that will entail security efforts, cultural efforts, and economic, also social efforts. Also, it requires coordination and cooperation among nations. I'd like to indicate also, particularly to some are using religion as a curtain for spreading hatred and bias and promoting violence in the societies. This phenomena is not restricted to one religion rather than others, or one region rather than the others. It is a general phenomenon that threatens international peace and entails intensive efforts from all those who have good intentions around the world. I emphasize here and ensure here that in the Ministry of Intolerance, we consider that the spreading of values of tolerance in religion and deepening and strengthening the ties of communication and understanding among nations, faith, and followers of this faith as integral part and essential part in the work of the ministry. Thirdly, I'd like to emphasize and ensure that tolerance is an essential part of the soft power of the United Arab Emirates. The soft power is the culture, the legacy, the noble and human values, also the living style, the foreign policy. And what does the state embody as an civilized model in building, construction, stability, welfare, and progress for everyone? I point to this considering that the successful strategies of the national work for achieving integral coordination between soft and strong and hard powers, which is dubbed today as the intelligent power. The last and fourth remark I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, is hope that we will always be moving towards the future following the values of our late founding father. The tolerant society is a successful society. Tolerance will avail us with a good climate and environment for achieving excellence and innovation. I invite you all, ladies and gentlemen, to fulfill the duties along with us in achieving tolerance and instilling the values of coexistence and tolerance in the whole world. And after that, and be certain that this will help us achieve the best life and the prospects for everyone. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to a big and important event that our beloved state will witness next week, which is the visit of His Pontiff and the Al-Azhar Sheikh, also Imam Dr. Ahmad At-Tayyib. These two visits. These visits were described by the President of the state as historic events and milestone events that combine two symbols of peace and tolerance in the world, who embody to everyone in words and in deeds the human brotherhood, values of love, friendliness, and rejection of violence. I'd like you and invite you all to live these values that come in the year of tolerance globally and locally. This historic event is strong and vehement expression that His Pontiff, the Pope, and Al-Azhar Imam, and a recognition for the role of United Emirates and its leaders in spreading peace, values of love and peace among all nations. This visit of the Pope and Al-Azhar Imam, and along with the focus on the values of human brotherhood, also embodiment for a vehement conviction that all people are brothers, and we must all spread these values and lionize and honor these values that are common among all people and nations everywhere. And this is a strong ground for all the plans and common and joint plans for benefiting the whole world. This historic and milestone event, as I said, comes as an expression, a clear evidence for the soft power of the United Arab Emirates, and reflecting the leading role of that is played by the state in living in peace and the values and spreading the values of coexistence and culture. And this is also just a reflection to the efforts exerted by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed in developing the relationships with the other civilizations and other diverse cultures, in addition to achieving communication, acculturation, and also leniency and forgiveness among people, seeking at the same time achieve a bright future for everyone on this planet, prevailing in which peace and love prevail. I wish you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, all the success and the best luck in this symposium, and praying for God at the same time that protect and save United Arab Emirates and the leaders of the United Arab Emirates. Save the Emirati people also, that this country will always live and be a peace for dignified life for everyone on this land. Again, thank you all. I'm sorry if I'm long. Peace be upon you. Thank you, everyone.
I would like to thank His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan Mubarak Al Nahyan for his kind speech. Now I'd leave you with the second keynote speech by His Eminence Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya, the Chairman of the Emirates Fatwa Council, President of the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies. Please, Your Excellency, the floor is yours. Praise be to Almighty Allah. May the peace and blessings from Almighty Allah be upon Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet of peace, and his kin and kith. Your Excellency, Sheikh Nahyan Mubarak Al Nahyan, Your Eminences, Your Excellencies, peace be with all of you. After this wonderful speech by His Eminence and His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan, and the valuable lessons and the wonderful legacy that represents a comprehensive way of life for peace and tolerance that we have listened to, given by His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan, the Minister of Tolerance, about the legacy of the late Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul. I cannot really find much to say, except that I would like to highlight some initiatives that have been emanating from this wonderful country as a translation of this legacy and an outcome of this legacy. So I hope, please forgive me if I do not speak extensively about the legacy of the late Sheikh Zayed, as it was already highlighted by one of the people who are most knowledgeable in this domain and in the field of tolerance and coexistence. I will speak quite briefly about tolerance and the methodological aspects of tolerance in Islam. I will highlight the concepts of the Forum for boosting the culture of tolerance, and how the Forum for promoting peace in Muslim societies is part and parcel of the vision of the UAE, and an outcome that emanated from the great seeds that have been sown by the late Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul. First, I would like to congratulate you and congratulate our wise leadership on selecting the concept of tolerance as the main theme of this year, and this wise selection is based on the wise leadership's vision, which is based also on tolerance and coexistence. I would like to thank the ECSSR, the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, and particularly His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Al-Suwaidi for their kind invitation and organizing this forum. Ladies and gentlemen, the Year of Zaid was a continuous event where we reminded of the concept of tolerance, which focuses on tolerance and peace and working in general. And this year will present forward another event to remind us of tolerance. Tolerance and coexistence are two sides of the same coin, and they refer to similar values and adjacent values. Tolerance is an acceptance of others and peaceful coexistence and human fraternity. Tolerance and coexistence are key main traits of Emirati character. They are not feigned characters. They are basic characteristics of the Emirati character. It may be part of the academic approach to talk about the concept of tolerance. Tolerance is a genuine term in the Arabic language. It has been used in modern times as a translation of a modern term in English and French, which is tolerance. As for Arab tolerance, it refers to generosity and being bountiful and generous to other people. The Islamic Sharia has been described as a Hanifi or Abrahamic Sharia, and that has tolerance and forgiveness. Prophet, peace be upon him, said that his message was based on the message of Prophet Abraham, and it is based on tolerance. It is mentioned in the Holy Quran and referred to by four terms: by forgiving, clemency, and forgiveness, and kindness to others. All of these concepts refer to adjacent values that still refer to the concept and meaning of tolerance, which is considered a value above justice, because justice means being fair to others, but tolerance is exerting efforts to help others without expecting anything in return. That is why it represents the pinnacle of values. Tolerance is going beyond and above small and trivial issues. So it has to do with tolerance and modesty and avoiding bringing harm to others. Do your very best, and thereby the enemy will turn into a friend. Tolerance refers to accepting other people's freedom and way of thinking and their behavior and their political and religious beliefs. So tolerance in Islam means that you give those who have deprived you and to love those who hate you, and to bring closer those who are going away from you. You do know that tolerance appeared in Europe in the Middle Ages and at the beginning of modern times, at a stage which witnessed bitter fights and conflicts and vicious wars between the Protestants and the Catholic Church, where many voices started calling for tolerance and having mutual tolerance and accepting other people's convictions, especially by Jean-Luc. 70 years later, Voltaire appeared and called for the same values. Those religious wars in Europe made people go away from religion and believe that the only solution is to put religion aside, to ensure that people live their lives peacefully without wars and without a religion. Yet, at the end of the day, that was not a viable solution, as Europe engaged into vicious wars later on because of the nationalistic trends and the financial interests as well. Karl Popper considers that nobody is as eloquent as Voltaire when expressing tolerance, because he highlighted how tolerance is a combining element that coexists with human nature. So everyone has this sense of weakness and is therefore unable to comprehend other people's mistakes or fault, is to try to, as by the Sheikh Zaid highlighted, when somebody commits a mistake, we should try gently to bring them to their senses. Despite this positive concept, the people calling for tolerance did not consider that the right to tolerance is an absolute value. They linked it the same way Jean-Luc and Voltaire did with its peaceful concept by providing the concept of public order. The boundaries of tolerance stops where an action becomes something that undermines the community and undermines its peacefulness. This is something that we should always remain in mind. Tolerance does not mean going beyond our limits and hurting others and being frightful and being undermining of public order. So this concept of tolerance is an organic concept that tries to limit the difference of religion and difference of opinion and visions, and therefore some philosophers believe that the concept of tolerance, with its procedural dimension, cannot be limited to its ethical sphere, but to bring together its real outcome, it has to be within the political and social framework. And this was what mentioned in the UNESCO's Declaration about Human Rights in the year 1995, where it linked tolerance to human rights and democracy and peace, and elevated the concept of tolerance to a legal framework that entails protection of the entire international community. Of course, in this context, I cannot miss to mention I cannot forget to mention the wise vision of our wise leadership to underscore the culture of tolerance and coexistence and making it based on mutual rights. This vision is quite pragmatic and practical in terms of observing the peculiarity of the context that was highlighted recently by His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan when he mentioned that there are peculiarities for tolerance, because tolerance does not mean dispelling our own peculiarities and our own culture. And it does not mean forgetting our legacy. Having a clear objective is the key role that was highlighted by the Federal Law number 2 of the year 2015 against the contempt of religion and hatred, and it entrenches and protects the community against all of these rhetoric of hatred. And of course, I don't need to remind you that the Ministry of Tolerance was established, and it is headed by a great leader who is quite tolerant and an embodiment of tolerance. Tolerance in Islam represents a culture, a comprehensive one, that has its values and signs and aspects. Moreover, it has methodological approaches, and it is emanating from those approaches which we will shed some light on the Islamic vision of others and its stance on pluralism and the concept of dialogue in Islam. These are 3 key elements. The Islamic vision considers all humans brothers and sisters, and it blocks the way to the many wars that engulfed humanity throughout history. Others in the concept of Islam are not foes or enemies. They are, as mentioned by Imam Ali, peace be upon him, is an equivalent human being or a brother in humanity. As other Arabs say, an other is a brother. Other means a brother. This R or R in Arabic refers to mercy and tolerance. A brother is an other individual who is just like a fellow human being. So this is how Islam boosts human dignity as the key common element and factor. We have honored the children of Adam because humans with their different cultures, ethnicities and languages were honored by Almighty Allah by boosting the soul and breathing the soul inside those who are the children of Adam, as mentioned in the Holy Quran. Scholars, peace be upon them, said that this honoring is not limited to those who belong to a specific religion or those who embrace Islam. Dignity, human dignity, is available to all. Human dignity is a precedent that precedes the existence of religion itself and faith. And this positive concept of envisioning others and envisioning oneself is a key element. Second, Islam accepts pluralism and difference. Plurality and having a plural environment is part of human nature. Humans by nature have diverse opinions and concepts, and also they have different interests. Islam has never been rejecting those concept of pluralism. Islam accepts religious pluralism not just in terms of recognition, but in terms of respect. As mentioned in the Holy Quran, that Almighty Allah accepts this pluralism as stated in the Holy Quran. Almighty Allah made churches and places of worship respected and protected against any aggression. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his fellow leaders and caliphates and caliphs were also keen on protecting other places of worship. And these are the religions that existed even before Islam. Islam has been keen, as highlighted by Imam Ibn al-Qayyim. Islam has taught Muslims and believers that absolute belief in a religion does not mean rejecting others who embrace different faiths. You need to have absolute faith, because faith will never reach this state of perfection without accepting others. And this complete faith does not prohibit accepting others and accepting pluralism. Religiously, you are required to accept this pluralism. Muslims accept others and accept diversity, and this diversity cannot be the cause of war and strife. The statement of Medina made and introduced a framework for tolerance by accepting pluralism and building this social contract according to which we accept and put at the forefront the aspects of collaboration in forms of rights and obligations. That's why Medina Statement was a founding document for the modern concept of citizenship. Those who have not obtained a copy of this statement and marked statement, you can have access to them through the portal of the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies, to see how Muslims were combined with Arabs and Jews and living peacefully in Medina. So Islam used this concept to block the way of wars which would have turned into part of human history. Of course, human nature did not really accept the concept of putting an end to wars, yet this is not the responsibility of Islam, and Islam cannot be blamed for that. It is, let's say, it is the responsibility of Muslims, not Islam. Dialogue is a religious value, and boosting the culture of dialogue and is a key human requirement, and is not something that can be disregarded. Almighty Allah stated in the Holy Quran, debate with others in a peaceful manner. Dialogue can bring about education and knowledge, and it is the key to solving the problems of the world. As highlighted by Plato, it provides alternative solutions to violence. that's what Plato said. Dialogue is an alternative to violence, and it provides alternatives that protect everybody's interests and to avoid violent extermination and violent resolution of conflicts. This is part of human existence. That is why Islam embraced these concepts that provide coexistence and protect everybody's rights. Endorsing dialogue as the key element for resolving disputes shows us that many of these disputes are only imagined ones and do not bring about real benefits. And by providing those coexisting solutions, which are based on mutual dialogue, this will enable us to dispel many fears and conflicts, and also underscore the culture of accepting others and tolerance. The United Arab Emirates, the country of the late Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul, and the place of achievements and glory, provides clear and outstanding initiatives that at different levels and international levels provide boldly and efficiently a platform for tolerance, the latest of which, and will not be the last one, is what our country will be focusing on by welcoming Pope Francis, the Pope of the Catholic Church. It is part and parcel of the Emirati vision, which underscores peace and tolerance worldwide and underpin the global fraternity principles, which coincides, this visit coincides with another visit by a key scholar, namely the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, who is also visiting the UAE at the same time to attend the great and prominent conference in this regard. In the UAE Fatwa Council, we are working according to this wise vision. One of our primary objectives is to ensure that we control fatwa, as it provides a clear platform for raising proper religious awareness, boosting the concept of peaceful coexistence and tolerance among Muslims by providing those sheikhs and Muslims who are fully aware of the new developments in their modern times. We will be also conducting training courses for imams and sheikhs to boost the culture of tolerance among them and provide the proper religious rhetoric this year, God willing. This vision is the key framework of our efforts in the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies. And we have had the honor of receiving kind patronages and support by our wise leadership in this great country to provide the proper narrative and concept of Islam by providing a comprehensive cultural approach and a full religious renewal concept that focuses on peace and tolerance, as highlighted previously. The peace and tolerance and coexistence are actually two sides of the same coin. The peace cannot exist without tolerance, and no tolerance can exist when peace is replaced with war and conflicts. Each one of them is synonymous to the other. In this forum, we base our concepts by providing a proper interpretation of religious values which have been adopted by outstanding scholars in the proper framework for restoring the positive energy that religion has to become the true remedy for the pains of humanity, and that brings peace and mercy and tranquility among humans. Since its inception and since our first laying the cornerstone of our work, we have been working together to bring together all those who have good intentions, whether at the religious, the Islamic religion, or the Abrahamic religions, or religions called or entitled in our study the Abrahamic religions, and of course religions in general as a whole. And Marrakesh Historic Statement came in this context in January 2016 to put and place the knowledge foundation for this framework by highlighting the collective human rhetoric in this regard. And based on this effort, American religious leaders who represent leading religions in the United States shaped an initiative that have sustainable collaboration between the followers of many religions worldwide to reduce the concepts of hatred and boosting tolerance and peace. And at the pinnacle of those efforts, the Forum of Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies conducted an international conference in Washington to boost public good. This historic event represented a key landmark for joint religious efforts. In terms of its size and magnitude, this was the first time that we would have the full scope of Abrahamic religions and their leaders for working together beyond the concept of religious debate and promoting each religion, and moving on to the concept of mutual cooperation based on religious and joint values, and to focus on achieving and bringing about the hopes that have been mentioned in this regard. Now we will have the fifth forum that will be mentioned in the same context in the capital Abu Dhabi, to introduce religions to one another and to boost mutual collaboration and dialogue. And this is what brings together the Abrahamic religions as a framework of religions that have joint, genuine narratives of ethical values and morals, because morals and values, as highlighted by someone who may not be thought speaking on ethics, namely the Professor Nietzsche, the philosopher Nietzsche, only a few people underscored the concept of ethics and morals throughout history, namely Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Jesus. These are really, of course, sound concepts despite his own standing of religion, which is known to all of you. So we believe in the concept of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. These are values that take tolerance to new heights and to new levels, that considers citizenship and tolerance two faces of the same coin. And we have dedicated the fifth forum of tolerance, which will be held within 2 or 3 months, and the role of religion in boosting its role worldwide. In conclusion, I would like to thank you once more and express my appreciation to His Excellency the Minister and to all our brothers and sisters and all the great leaders who organized this gathering. May Almighty Allah always maintain the blessings on the UAE and grant it always the spirit of tolerance and coexistence, and ensure its prosperity forever until Judgment Day, and peace be with all of you.
All thanks and appreciation for His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya for his speech. Now leave you for a 10-minute break, and then we resume our symposium. Thank you so much. We start with the third keynote speech delivered by His Excellency Sheikh His Eminence Al-Sayyid Ali Al-Sayyid, Advisor for Religious and Judicial Affairs at the Ministry of Presidential Affairs, United Arab Emirates. The forum is yours, Your Excellency. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Praise be to Allah, and all prayers and peace on His messengers and the prophets. particularly the messenger of Muhammad and his household and companions. I greet you, blessed gathering here, as duly as thankful to the invitation of Dr. Director General, Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Al-Suwaid, along with all allegiance to His Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Crown Prince, may God save him, for his sustainable and permanent patronage for this great edifice. Ladies and gentlemen, tolerance, if taken from a religious perspective, will not be exaggerating if we say decisively that tolerance, love, cooperation are the message of Islam, inviting and calling all people to follow. Islam came and revelation came upon the Prophet of Muhammad, inviting and calling people for tolerance, coexistence, and all the good that came in the previous faith. It also calls to reject exaggeration, extremism, and hatred, even in worship. God says, indicating to what people makes people sometimes belligerent and exaggerate, especially in their living transactions, whether economic or social. God's praise be. May God have mercy on a tolerant person, if he sells tolerant, if he is by tolerant, if he adjudicates. Tolerance is a moral value, and indicated Abdullah bin Bayya, His Excellency, indicated this. Ethical values were restricted in, and the ethics, moral beings were restricted as came in the Prophet's hadith. I'm just sent to make ethics complete. Tolerance urged by Islam and the pre-Islam religious. It's not an abstract, it's a positive trait, mainly in relation to worshipping God alone. Because tolerance is an intrinsic principle in the teachings of Islam. Tolerance is a trait of Allah. It's also moral, imposed on its worshippers, because they are his successors and caliphs, because a caliph must be characterized Allah, the Almighty God, ordered people to follow the moral values of tolerance. Messenger of Muhammad said, follow the morality of God, the morality of Islam. So differences in opinion is not a reason for boycott, hatred, or separation, because opinion is a particularity for every person. For this reason, Allah said, no coercion in religion, because faith is heartly issues, conscientious issues, because there's faith and there is Islam. Islam we see in the rituals of and pillars of Islam, like Hajj, pilgrimage, or fasting, but faith is a heartly unconscientious issue. For this reason, the fatwa of Wahran in the time of the fall of Andalusia, he said, the judge of that pretending of blasphemy came out of coercion is not ambivalent to the settled faith. And this is known to bin Bayya, that this fatwa has some observations and reservations. This fatwa also has some remarks and it has some its pitfalls, but we mention them in the context of tolerance and the depth of that Mufti. May Allah has mercy on him. Have mercy on him. Tolerance will allow societies and individuals to express their intentions honestly and genuinely, and honesty is of the high values, and it is a civilization and essential requirement for the progress of societies and its development and stability. I have many papers to make it brief. On this spring hold, on this basis, to have a ministry of tolerance in this country. This is a precedent of civilization and a reason to take it proud for the whole world, that connecting the past to the future. I ask Allah to bless your gathering and make you reason for benefit for everyone. Allah says is the guidance for all. God bless you all. Thank you so much. All thanks go to His Eminence Ali Al-Sayyid Al-Hashimi for his speech. Now I leave you for a break for 5 minutes, after which we resume our agenda.
Of the legacy of Zayed, the UAE promotes values of tolerance and coexistence. The session will be presided by Her Excellency Afa Mohammed Al-Sabi, Director General of at the Ministry of Tolerance. She will be with His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Mohammed Al-Jawan, Chairman of the Global Council for Tolerance and Peace. Please, the floor is yours. In the name of Almighty Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful, praise be to Almighty Allah, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad and all his kin and kith and companions. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Praise be to Almighty Allah, who granted the UAE great leaders who have followed in the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad, and as highlighted by His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan, this forum is an event where we can show our pride of the great legacy left by the late Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul, the forefather of the UAE. Today we convene at this international platform to talk about this legacy, the legacy of the late Sheikh Zayed, in terms of boosting tolerance and coexistence. I have with me Dr. Ahmed Al-Jawan, Chairman of the Global Council for Tolerance and Peace, and Dr. Jamal Sanaswaidi, the Director General of the ECSSR. Ladies and gentlemen, if we want to talk about the legacy of the late Sheikh Zayed, the achievements of the UAE stands as proof and testament of how far the UAE has made great achievements due to the legacy and the vision of the UAE leaders. Part of the legacy of the Sheikh Zayed is that we as Emiratis should boost tolerance and enhance coexistence among all human beings, wherever they are. Among the Emiratis who shoulder this task in the best way is Dr. Ahmed Mohammed Al-Jawan, Chairman of the Global Council for Tolerance and Peace, who is considered one of the prominent figures of the UAE who have an outstanding track record, as he was elected as a member of the Federal National Council in the year 2011, and then he headed the Arab Parliament for 2 successive terms, where he supported the fair Arab causes. In the year 2017, His Excellency started exerting efforts at the international arena, especially at international tolerance and coexistence, and his efforts were met with international recognition. He obtained PhD, honorary PhD from Netherlands due to his efforts, and he obtained Tirana Award, the highest Albanian decoration for boosting peaceful coexistence. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Al-Jawan, and we will be taking in questions after his speech. Please, Your Excellency, the floor is yours. In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful, praise be to Almighty Allah, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad. In the beginning, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all the staff of the ECSSR. In particular, I would like to express my appreciation to His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Suwaidi, Director General of the ECSSR, for holding this highly important forum, which focuses on underscoring the role of the UAE and its consolidation of the culture of tolerance and coexistence locally and globally. In this symposium, we interact with the declaration made by His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, God bless him, as he declared the year 2019 to be the year of tolerance. At the beginning, the declaration of 2019 as the year of tolerance reflects the unwavering commitment of the UAE in terms of boosting tolerance in its local and international policies in the present and the future. Tolerance was one of the key traits of the late Sheikh Zayed. God bless his soul, one of his sayings was, "Be tolerant and forgive as Almighty Allah forgives." He was keen on ensuring that everybody around him was tolerant and entrenching this value in their souls. His vision on tolerance was related to reforming the status of the wrongdoers and putting them on the right path. The tolerance in the legacy of Zayed was not limited to the religious aspects. It encompassed culture, economic, political and social tolerance. As the late Sheikh Zayed established the UAE on love, tolerance, coexistence and accepting of others. He taught us how to focus on the common ground with others and to establish good relations on this common ground. He also taught us how to disregard the points of dispute with others or disagreements, to be able to live together peacefully and in good relations and good neighborly relations. Today we are reaping the fruit of tolerance that were sown by the late Sheikh Zayed and our forefathers who have established the UAE. At the international level, the Emirati passport tops the list globally. And this is a great indication of the global acceptance of the UAE's policy, which was established by the late Sheikh Zayed, which is based on tolerance and peaceful coexistence and mutual respect and good neighborly relations. At the national level, we're proud that the UAE, the first country to establish a ministry for tolerance, everybody, globally and locally, bears witness to the fact that our society is the most tolerant society worldwide. We have 200 nationalities living peacefully in the Emirati community, and this is a role model at the international level. From what I've just said, I can say that the legacy of the late Sheikh Zayed encompassed great meanings that have to do with the modernism of tolerance. Religious tolerance combines all the followers of different religions and cultural tolerance among those who belong to different cultures, and social tolerance among the members of the same community, and in addition to political tolerance with those who belong to divergent and different political trends. And even at the international relationships, the country dealing with other countries. And from this perspective, the concept of the year of tolerance commemorates the great vision of the late Sheikh Zayed and establishing the society on tolerance and ensuring social cohesion. The other value that we learned from the late Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul, is that we should work efficiently to help humanity worldwide and wherever they are. The vision of the UAE was never restricted to the local level. Our leadership always looks at and looks into the causes and the issues faced by other nations and provides innovative solutions. Launching the Day of Tolerance this year shows how far our wise leadership aims to address those conflicts that resulted from hatred, sectarianism and hatred. And of course this initiative reflects our wise leadership's vision of the best way forward to put an end to those conflicts and spread tolerance locally and globally. Of course, in this initiative, we will see boosting the status of the UAE as the international capital of tolerance and peaceful coexistence and pluralism of cultures. What springs to our minds is a question: how can tolerance put an end to the raging wars worldwide? To answer this question, we should first realize that achieving peace and combating war is the primary objective that we need to achieve. How can we achieve this objective? it needs to be divided into short-term and long-term ones. The short-term objective is to protect our people from wars in the short term, but of course, the more eminent objective is to deal with the raging conflicts worldwide, and maybe you agree with me that the best way forward to protect our children from wars in the future is to instill the values of tolerance in their souls as of today. If we are going to set forward these plans for investment in climate and economy, we need to we have already prepared plans for the year 2030 and the strategic plan 2050. Our duty towards our children is to provide long-term strategic planning for peace. This was manifested in the Year of Tolerance initiative, which reflects our leadership's vision of what we should do today to reap in the future. Based on this vision, protection from wars in the future means that our children as of today and children of today are the future of generation, and they will be the future soldiers in the future. So this will ensure entrenching tolerance to put an end to raging wars today. This is the more eminent and the more pressing objective. Understanding this role emanates from changing the concept of war in modern times. In the past, war was perceived as a disease that should be exterminated, but now we perceive of those wars as a symptom of deeper conflicts, and it can never end without addressing those deeply rooted diseases. So if we analyze the conflicts that have spread in many countries worldwide, we will realize how to use tolerance to put out these fires of wars and tolerance that raged because of these political, sectarian and religious strifes, in addition to the escalating social tension over a number of years, and thereby we have witnessed the breakout of these wars. No doubt this stress was due to the absence of tolerance in those communities, and we can only bring about peace by decomposing the policies that have led to the escalation of conflicts and restoring peace and tolerance among them. The second result that we realize in this context, it's a rotating nature, in the sense that armed conflict goes down, and in a few years it goes up again and flares up once more. Historic experience proves that an end of war does not necessarily mean that we have peace, and the peace that shows on the surface of the scene can have within itself the roots of an imminent war that will rage once more because of the smallest conflicts. And this is due to a number of reasons that can put an end to this conflict, and violence may pose due to a military victory, or it may pose because both sides are too tired to continue the war, or because of the absence of the necessary tools to continue the war. All of this brings about fragile peace that can collapse at any point, and then war ensues once more. That's why such conflicts become even more violent when they break out once again. That's why experts have proven that war has this rotating cycle, and whenever it has the opportunity, it will surface again. When we look into its rotating nature, we will realize that we will be not doing our duty if we do not intervene when conflicts are abating. The most prominent approach is boosting tolerance and building bridges of trust and confidence among the warring factions. This ensures that we will be able to eradicate the roots for any renewal of those conflicts. Based on this simple and pragmatic analysis, the initiative of the Year of Tolerance reflects the UAE's future vision to achieve peace and global peace. Our ability to contribute effectively to achieving peace in the future depends on our ability to boost tolerance among our young people now. So we should do our best, and all our national establishments should spare no effort to bring together all of these efforts at the local and global level to achieve this in the global councils of tolerance and peace. And of course, we need to collaborate with the different international stakeholders to promote peace. as the promotion of peace requires collaborative efforts by all international establishments, and no single entity, no matter how powerful it is, will be able to achieve genuine progress in this regard without full collaboration with all the key players in the international arena. In this regard, we may have divergent views and use different means and mechanisms, yet the sole objective remains: we need to boost tolerance and peaceful coexistence among people. We at the Global Council for Tolerance and Peace, we believe that we can address these global conflicts by working together and collaborative work and dialogue with representatives of all nations. That is why we have established the International Parliament of Peace and Tolerance, which has members of different parliaments worldwide, based on our firm belief that the general concept of tolerance has within itself a different religious, culture and social dimensions. We have established in the International Parliament of Peace and Tolerance a number of permanent committees which work relentlessly on those elements. We have established the Women and Young People Committee and the Peace and Security Committee, which work on addressing different cultural, social and religious issues to underscore the values of tolerance among different religions. Not to mention that we have established an international committee at the International Parliament of Peace to boost relations with international entities, and we have a peace building committee which aims to underscore the peace building processes, which was approved in the Council since its inception. The peace building program aims to instill the culture of tolerance among our young people. We hope that tolerance will be part of the curriculum that is being taught at schools and universities worldwide, in coordination with the competent ministries of education and different nations. We do believe that this program will contribute effectively to protecting the future of global peace, since we do understand that working on promoting the culture of peace worldwide has not really achieved its desired objectives for the different stakeholders. The different committees of the Council contain a public committee for peace and tolerance, and we have a number of study centers and that comprise all the people who are fully understood in this regard, and establishing communication channels with the different international entities and international partners. The Global Council for Tolerance and Peace could not achieve all of these achievements without genuine support it received from the UAE. Definitely the UAE is the international capital of tolerance. The key traits and characteristics of the UAE, which are known worldwide, have granted the Council a great deal of credibility at the international level. I'm quite confident that the UAE, with its knowledge capabilities, will sow the seeds of tolerance this year, and the UAE will have a great impact in the domain of strategic planning for peace and the year of tolerance. And peace be with all of you.
Thanks, Dr. Ahmed Al-Jarwan, for this comprehensive speech that tackled many aspects of our symposium. Now the floor is open for discussions. Please mention your name before you ask. Thank you. And make it as brief as possible, please. Thanks for all of you, but I believe that there are no more questions. I don't see that anyone is interested in any question. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your... Okay, there is one question. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, Professor Jamal As-Suwaidi, Dr. Ahmed on the podium, thanks for the speech you delivered. We all benefited from this speech. We all emphasize the role played by the United Arab Emirates. I'm working in the field of media. My specialty is radio and television, I'd like to talk about the role of mainstream media, whether journalism, television, or radio, and the role of new media, social media here we mentioned, in the spreading of culture of tolerance. Your Excellency, you know that new media has a great, serious and grave impact on the generations. How can we make the role played by media effective and helpful to that generation? How can we use media to spread and instill these values in the society? Thank you, Your Excellency. Thanks, Doctor. In reality, I'd like to thank you for this important question. The Global Council for Tolerance and Peace depend on two pillars, academic and media pillars. For this reason, there would be no any successful project or work unless supported by excellent media that will bring to the society. The Global Council for Peace and Tolerance, we adopted a mechanism, the media mechanism, and we have a media center in Beirut currently and working to communicate with our members around the world to have studies from these members and any stakeholders and from the audience also who are interested in spreading the value of tolerance. And these studies and researchers should be distributed to those who are interested in the field. And then these studies can be put in research centers to analyze these activities and studies to get the best benefit. So these communication mechanisms between the center and those who are the stakeholders will help us. Of course, media has a great role to play. There must be a strategy between the Global Council or Ministry of Tolerance and the competent entity and media, because sometimes, and unfortunately in some countries, for example, I'd like to mention here, to cite Egypt here, sometimes media works in a field and society in another side, because media here is discussing, doesn't make or form any interest to the society, while the society is interested in something else. So how can we make a strategy, media strategy, undertaken by and committed by media to spread these values? The more dangerous aspect is how to cooperate with the mainstream media, because this electronic media is a catastrophe in all aspects unless used wisely. Sorry for elaboration. In reality, again, thanks for this question. Concerning the first part of your question, which is the role media tools in this is the responsibility lands on the media, those who are working in media themselves. Media must be responsible and must be determined to help. In my opinion, or my vision, United Arab Emirates and all the competent institutions in the country are totally ready and promptly ready to work with any forum interested in spreading these values. As you just mentioned, some media men are just talking out of the flock, out of the step, for some considerations that are not, let us say, not healthy purposes, some of the, but as for media platforms, or those who are working in the media are responsible. They must be also ready to participate in the making of the future and society. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Ashraf Jaber. I have experience. I work editor-in-chief for Celta magazine. It means, in Finnish language, it means the bridge. The idea is what we are talking about today. How can we achieve communication between societies? The message of this magazine help cultural communication, economic culture communication between Nordic and the Arab world. And we chose two main cities, Abu Dhabi and Helsinki, to be the starting points in working in this field. The main issue here was understanding and tolerance and removing any ambiguity or misunderstanding, which sometimes we feel it is just made, artificial, not natural, and we feel sometimes they are because of the laziness and not willing to clarify the ambiguities and misunderstanding. And when I saw that lots of acceptance to our and the promotion to our idea, we noticed that it is required indeed that every individual or every enterprise and entity to be a lighthouse for tolerance and understanding among nations. But also big dilemma, plight on the level of individuals who are, when individuals sit together, they will understand and tolerate. But when we go to the bigger or broader level, we find that some difficulties will arise. His Excellency talked about the soft powers of societies and the soft power of United Arab Emirates. Is there any possibility or potential to activate these soft powers more greatly? Because we are talking, they are talking on their side, but sometimes we are not, maybe not communicating. We are talking with ourselves, maybe. So is it miscommunication here? Is it miscommunication problem? Or is it negligence? Or what is the main cause for this? United Arab Emirates, in fact, has the strongest and most important soft power in media and the safe living and stability in United Arab Emirates that host more than 200 nationality in its land. And here, every individual from these communities, from expatriate communities, and who are partners in the society, is considered an ambassador to his country. And everything that he sees and witnesses in the United Arab Emirates of peace, love, respect, stability, and tolerance must be a message for him to communicate to his country and to the world outside. For this reason, United Arab Emirates, thank God, did satisfactorily its part, but what, as the just virtuous doctor said, that United Arab Emirates and the competent institutions must be ready to cooperate, to give more studies, to generate more researches and more positive communication to United Arab Emirates is just a part of the international community. I don't like to say we and they. I want to say that everyone is just part of this, because we are living in the age of globalization. We are living in a small village. We must work as a team against the unknown. We don't know what are the looming catastrophes. We must work in solidarity in Helsinki and in Abu Dhabi. We must work together. We must do anything about it possible to clarify understanding, mainly those who are extremists, who defile the image of Islam, those who are promoting violence and hatred. So in the Global Council of Tolerance and Peace, we are ready to cooperate and work together to spread the message of tolerance. Thanks. Priest, the evangelic church's head. I have a question. How can we churches, groups, Islamic groups, work together hand in hand in unanimity and compatibility and change the leading role played by the Emirates in the region we are living in into and take it further to have a universal strategy to reach the decision makers in different countries, so that we transform the Emirati dream into a practical and real reality. We say that the state gives all it has in noble values, but sometimes these are not heard outside. Is there any chance to communicate and talk at United Arab Nations and other agencies working under the United Nations to change and transform and realize this dream? Thanks, Your Holiness. In fact, in the Arab world, in the United Arab Emirates, we live as a big family. starting from the heavenly religion that embraced all. An indication to the question, Your Holiness, the Global Council for Tolerance and Peace is having, as establishing founders, we have a priest from Malta, and this priest, Joseph Aylul, he is working in the Vatican also, and this system, this structuring entity is working in communication and contacting the international entities, the United Nations here I mentioned, in which we struck an agreement and made an agreement. So in the Global Council for Peace and Tolerance, we are all one team working in the same direction. And we inspired this vision from the United Arab Emirates vision and the concepts of late Sheikh Zayed and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed to work in the same direction, and to find all the factors and to welcome anything that will help us and contribute to achieving and instilling the value of tolerance and peace. And we have in the Global Council for Tolerance and Peace, we have priests, we have bishops, and we have friends and partners also from all religions and faith. Your Excellency, thank you so much for the valuable information. Dr. Salim Al-Ka'bi from National Defense Academy. My question is, what are the challenges that are faced in instilling the values of tolerance from education, in terms of education from your perspective, or in the country in reality? For the Global Council for Tolerance and Peace has a role to play in this field, from inviting all those who are interested in making and designing the scholastic curricula that take care and handle address the value of tolerance, not from the cultural or from the political and scientific tolerance, but we are looking forward to find it in all the aspects that benefit the international community. Some of the challenges that we are facing today, that we are in the phase of polarizing partners, stakeholders. We want excellent and distinguished partners. A year ago, since the establishment of the Council, we have members from 50 states from the international community. The United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, may God save him, is a supporter and let me say a mentor, and giving us the directive to make studies and researches that instill the ethical values of tolerance and coexistence in the society. All these factors and social pillars are considered tributary to and supporters to tolerance in the United Arab Emirates. From what we witnessed today, from stability and welfare and security here in the country, and the solidarity and the cohesion with the leaderships, and we feel that the scholastic curricula are doing well, but we need to work more on this, God willing. Peace be upon you, Dr. Sharif Mahdi, Darzai Islamic Culture. Nowadays, there are some historic events. These can be characterized as painful. These painful events became, with the social media, are magnified. My viewpoint that these events I'm referring to as painful, that they are working and mutilating against tolerance. How Your Excellency regard as an institution and individuals, how can we regard and address these painful events which are raging like a raging fire? Thanks, Doctor. Very, very important question indeed. In United Arab Emirates, we are, and as long as talking about the Council of Tolerance and Peace, we are looking forward to the future. And if we go back to the painful events that took place in history, we admit there are some positive events, but there are also some painful. If we go back, we'll stop growing, we'll stop developing, we'll stop delivering the future. We are demanding that our perspective and outlook should be futuristic and be positive. Who wrote the history? In fact, we don't know who wrote the history. There are some positive historians who wrote from a positive perspective, but others who wrote history also wrote negatively and maliciously. As researchers and as distinguished centers like this, we must rewrite history in the right way. We must promote the positive outlook. We should not talk about accepting the others and tolerance. These are in themselves are good values, but we are like one entity. We are all belong to one God. We are all created by one God. We are not talking. We are one team. God Almighty made us diverse for a reason. He could have made us in one direction, but we must agree and no differences, but God's will has made us this way, and we must accept that all religion, or heavenly religions, whether Judaism, Islamic, or Christianity, all have the same message, and all the message is to worship God, the God only. So going back or referring to the history can be really painful, because there are lots of ill-willed people who made or wrote the history maliciously. We must spread awareness among the present and the coming generations about history, and we must spread awareness about the danger of history and how we must read it and construe it. Enough of these questions, and allow me on behalf of all of you to thank Dr. Ahmed Al-Jarwan for all the information, the valuable information he just delivered, and let me allow Dr. Professor Jamal Sanad Al-Suwaidi, Director General for Emirates Center for Strategic Studies. I'm looking forward for more joint work with the Minister of Tolerance and the EC Center of Strategic Studies and Research. In the end, thank you all for your attendance. Thank you.
كل الشكر والتقدير.
I'd like to thank Dr. Ahmed Al-Jarwan and Her Excellency Ahmed Rafi. Now we'll have a 10 minutes break, after which we will continue for the second session. Thank you. Now we'll continue the symposium with the second session entitled Tolerance from a Religious and Humanitarian Perspective, which will be presented by His Excellency Maqsood Koz, Executive Director of Hidayah Center, with Reverend Bishoy Fakhri, patron of St. Antonio Cathedral in Abu Dhabi. Please, the floor is yours, Dr. Maqsood. Your Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Al-Suwaidi, Director General of the ECSSR, Your Excellencies, Your Eminences, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure to preside on this session, which is an outstanding one for two key reasons. Our exceptional guest in this session is a friend and also a symbol of tolerance. Moreover, he's one of the heroes of expressing tolerance between different religions and cultures. It was really an honor and a pleasure to be with him on different occasions in global and international delegations to represent the UAE in the best possible manner. The second reason, which is really the more valuable and genuine reason, is considering the year 2019 the year of tolerance. Actually, this year, where the UAE is leading the way in terms of tolerance, and it is the owner of this initiative, yet this year witnessed and will witness a number of historic initiatives and moments that will be immortalized in human consciousness with regards to the concept of tolerance and its meanings. Of course, all of you know that we have inaugurated the largest mosque close to or nearing by the biggest church in Egypt, in the beloved country Egypt, which highlights the concepts of mutual coexistence and tolerance throughout history and up till whatever Almighty Allah wills in terms of new coming decades and epochs. Moreover, we will witness an unprecedented and historic visit which has never happened before in the history of Islam and Christianity. And this will further underscore the tolerance worldwide, which is the visit by His Holiness the Pope and His Eminence the Sheikh of Al-Azhar, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, into the capital of tolerance, in the capital Abu Dhabi. First, I would like to open the floor to His Excellency Reverend Bishoy Fakhri. I will introduce him to you. He's an exceptional priest who combined scientific and intellectual knowledge in addition to his spiritual and great religious role. With the bless of Almighty Allah, Reverend Bishoy is the patron of St. Anthony Cathedral in Abu Dhabi, and he obtained a BSc in medicine and surgery from Alexandria University in the year 1996. Moreover, he obtained a master's degree in bone surgery from Cairo University, Al-Qasr Al-Aini Hospital in 2003. He obtained the fellowship of Glasgow Surgeons College in the year 2009, and he obtained, previously he used to work as a surgeon orthopedist, specialized in bones and backbone surgery in Cleveland Clinic and Sheikh Khalifa Hospital from the year 2004 until the year 2014. Yet he obtained on the a degree in Christianity which was endowed upon him by Tawadus Athani, the Pope of Alexandria, and to become the patron of St. Anthony Cathedral in Abu Dhabi. Your Excellency, you have been helping in the healing of bones in the past. You can assist us with healing the spiritual agonies of tolerance in the human soul. Your Excellency, I would like to open the floor to you. In the name of the one God whom we all worship and serve, it's an honor and a pleasure and a blessing to stand here in this honorable place in the UAE at the ECSSR, or the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research. And I would like to thank this center, and particularly His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Swedi, and I would like to thank all the staff of the ECSSR and all those who have been exerting prominent or latent efforts to contribute to the success of this wonderful symposium, which represents a strong message by the UAE to the whole world. A message of tolerance, peace and tranquility and love. Let's move on to a brief journey to highlight the concept of tolerance. Tolerance from the religious and humanitarian perspective. I have some comments on this specific title, yet I find that returning to Allah is returning to humanity. Returning to Allah. This is a religion, and Allah is the creator of humanity. So a return to religion is a return to humanity. I believe that we have the same concept. The religious concept is a unified one. Allah is love, and those who cling to love cling to Allah, and the blessings of Allah are manifested in Him. Love is not just a virtue, it's the real nature of Allah. Those who cling to love will have the light and blessings of Almighty Allah. Tolerance is also a sublime humanitarian value and one of the pillars of establishing love in one's soul. It represents a core stance in the teachings of all religions. It's a reflection of our internal status. If we live the blessings and joy of Allah's mercy after our sins, we can reflect this mercy around us in terms of tolerance and tranquility. Why tolerance? With all simplicity, because we are humans. We have been created in this image, and this for tolerance reflects our stances and our convictions and our daily habits. Tolerance is a fruit from the tree of love, the tree of love that was irrigated and sponsored and first sowed the seeds of it by the late Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul, in the land of the beloved UAE, the land of generosity. all religions were encompassed in the UAE, and all cultures were welcomed in the UAE with his encompassing visions. This vision, which was maintained and further nurtured and boosted by all our rulers and our wise leadership under the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa, the President of the UAE, God bless him, the President of the UAE, Sheikh Khalifa, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Rashid, Vice President, Prime Minister, ruler of Dubai, and supported also by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. This mercy and love and passion also needs the care and love of every single individual who lives in the UAE. It needs love and care. This fruitful tree needs, like any other tree, needs care and love by all individuals. Every single human being is an ambassador to mercy. Mercy and love is a reflection of divine love. Almighty Allah lets the sun provide its lights to all humans, whether they are believers or atheists or not, or whoever they are. God gives bounty and sustenance to all humans. Tolerance is one of the characteristics and virtues of God, Allah, and therefore those who are tolerant will be giving bountifully and generously. Tolerance as a word, as a verb, it comes from being tolerant, from to tolerate, the verb tolerate, to allow something to happen, to allow someone to speak. One of the linguistic perspectives is clemency and tolerance and mercy, forgiving the sinners and forgiving those wrongdoers within the scope of the law. Of course, mercy and tolerance are synonymous with one another. In the international philosophical aspects, tolerance is a mutual respect of different opinions and showing mercy and acceptance of what others express verbally or in terms of conduct. As for science and language, philosophers and sociologists describe tolerance as a value that provides giving willingly, without any forceful coercion, and making things facilitated and easier to do. In linguistics also we have two different words, tolerance and forgiveness. Despite the close relationship between tolerance and forgiveness, each one of them leads to the other, and they lead to one another and emanate from one another. Tolerant people are always able to forgive, and those who are willing to forgive are willing and able to tolerate. The concept of tolerance worldwide has different concepts within itself. It's a wide-reaching concept that has within it the acceptance of criticism, acceptance of advice, acceptance of wisdom, the ability to change behavior, accepting the opinions of others, being good listeners, humility, accepting loss to achieve a better approach, accepting the experience of other people, and always feeling that we are in need of tolerating others and not to be self-sufficient. Tolerance is a wide-ranging concept that goes beyond the verb itself, the tolerating something, which may not be a clear mistake. It might be some unfriendly behavior or unjustified anger, or dispute over something, or maybe even some sort of aggression that is done unintentionally. As for tolerating others, those others may be just passerbys or someone we have never met before, as stated in the ayahs of the Bible. Those who slap you on the right cheek, turn the left cheek, and those who wanted to take your belongings, let them do. And love your enemies and be good to your enemies and pray for those who do wrong to you. Tolerance is a rich virtue that emanates from love, which is the greatest virtue, and it comes with tolerance, mercy, patience, tranquility, and having a big heart and not rushing to condemn others. That's why it's a very rich and wide-ranging and highly encompassing virtue that is reflected in daily activities. In tolerance, we accept others. This does not mean just accepting the existence of others without any relationship with them, but it means adopting a positive outlook on dealing with them as equals or even better humans, because all of us have been created by Allah and we have to accept those blessings to which we take no credit. Tolerance is the opposite of being closed and adopting this siege mentality. So, as stated here, do not fight evil with evil and do not fight fire with fire. Tolerance means forgetting insinuations and forgetting all the sins committed by others and tolerating even those. There's no room and tolerance in gloating at those who face consequences when they do harm to you. That is why we can bring together, that is how we can bring together those who have been committing sins against us. Tolerance removes the barriers of sex, color, and religion and makes all us one big family. As highlighted by Jesus' prophet, the Samari, who took care of a different individual who was wounded and was fighting for his life. He took him to a hotel and healed his wounds despite the fact that he did not know him. So despite the fact that tolerance increased this fraternity among all humans, and if each one is responsible for his brothers and his siblings in humanity, you can easily win over people, as highlighted by the Saint Paulus, who dealt with those who belonged to Judaism and Greek religions, and those who had no beliefs of any kind. Of course, tolerance provides us with temperamental balance, and therefore we can be able to exert clemency and forgiveness when we are able to punish, and we can accept and tolerate the aggressions of others and seek mercy for the wrongdoers and share the burdens with them. Nobody is infallible. All of us are fallible. So those who perceive themselves as perfectionists should reconsider their position. We can also encourage good intentions, even if they are weak. Allah was mentioned or described as the source of love and giving, and He encouraged us to help the weak. And in tolerance, we should avoid clear blaming for others for making mistakes. Tolerance is the cornerstone of human interaction in developed communities, at home, schools, clubs, on the road, at work places, and transportation. All of this is driven by good taste and avoiding daily issues and misuses. As highlighted in the concept of tolerance, we should always respect each other's dignity. Do to others what you accept others do to you. This is the concept of prophets. It's one of the pillars of serving humanity. With love, we will feel that we are there to help the needy, even if they don't ask for our help. If they ask to walk with us 1 mile, we should move 2 miles with them. Means giving a lot more than we can take. Love, mutual love and mutual services are not considered something to be rewarded for by Allah. If you love those who love you, what reward do you expect from God? And if you are peaceful to and kind to your brothers only, and all humans do that, if you help those who help you, you will have no credit for this good deed. sinners also let other sinners borrow money. You should love your enemies and help those who do harm to you to be rewarded by God. Tolerance saves the human soul that committed mistakes and that can be restored to the righteous path if it is given a second opportunity. Being harsh to them and closing the way to them drives them to perish. Love and tolerance is the outlook of Allah. Allah loves humans and accepts them the way they are, in their fear and in their worry and their stress and their pain and their sickness and their fall and their happiness and their joy and their saneness and knowledge. God's love to humans is unconditional. Tolerance is our approach to Allah. In our approach to Allah, we adopt tolerance as a principle through which we move in our daily lives and from which love and life emanates. These are some pictures from that reflect tolerance in the UAE in the inauguration of the cathedral in 2007, when the late Pope Shenouda III came to visit the UAE. The kind and merciful country, the UAE, which encompassed his visit, and the cathedral, which was described by the Pope back then as it is a sign of the kindness and big hearts of the rulers of the UAE who came to inaugurate this cathedral. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank the UAE, the pillar and the platform of human tolerance. Thank you and peace be with you.
Thanks so much, Your Reverend Bishoy Fakhri, for these bright words that are redolent of wisdom and unique tolerance. Before I open the floor for interventions and the questions from the audience, I'd like to seize opportunity to put a preliminary question, because we found and touched in your speech that humanity is the common ground for all religions, for all people, for all ethnicities and civilizations. So Your Reverence, if you share with us some ideas about how can we enhance the humanitarian values in addition to, despite the differences. Please. Dr. Maxud, thank you for this question. And I think that this is the disposition and spirit, the simple spirit planted by late Sheikh Zayed. He opened his heart to the talk we heard in this morning. He said that all human life belong to everyone. The air we breathe, the goodness, the food, the water, the sunshine, the earth that embraced and hosted all humanity with the purpose of worshipping God. And late Sheikh Zayed, he took of everyone back to the main and sole purpose of God's creation and making of man, which is the worshipping of God. And God will guarantee the sustenance and support for everyone. God has made no distinction between people, between ethnicities. So that this spirit that will be always rekindling and living forever should be curated. We must curate and spread and instill in the upcoming generations. We must instill in our children on the level of family, in school students. So planting and sowing of seeds need water, need sunshine to grow, same as values. So these values must be taken care and must be curated till they fruit and be laden with the fruit. At the end, I think it is the inclination of the country. It is the inclination of the United Arab Emirates as a whole. I believe United Arab Emirates is proactive in this field as a state, as a society, as a community, and individuals. They are all moving this path. Thanks for these great words and explanations. I have a question here, and please, your questions be brief and making your questions after introducing yourself. National Defense Academy. Dr. Maxsoud, thank you very much for the brief you gave about the Reverend Bishoy. I'd like to know about the relationship between tolerance and the impact on the human health. Some studies prove that tolerance will impact positively on the health. Thank you. Thank you for this question. Surely all diseases, clinical diseases related to stress, anger, as we call it, psychosomatic or psychomotoric diseases, come from anger and temperament. Once we are in the environment of tolerance, this will give us security and peace of mind, and this peace of mind will guarantee and protect man from many diseases. Again, the social community health as a whole, this will also help community to be creative and innovative. So once you are having a peace of mind, you will be innovative, you will be able to be creative and give comfort to the others. It can create the environment of innovation and excellence. It can create an environment of happiness that will be solace to humanity. So when a society is in sectarian atmosphere, in religious bias, in hatred, this will all cause and harm the human health. Psycho health is important and inherently related to the bio health. God himself talked about peace and was described as the king of peace, and tolerance is the nature of God. So when peace is prevailing, all humanity will get better in all aspects of life. We feel this and witness this every day as we are living in I'm not humoring, I'm not complimenting, I'm not giving, but this is, I'm telling the truth. We are living every day in the United Arab Emirates. And here we are. We thank the leaders of the Emirati leadership that is giving us this peace. Thanks for this exceptional question. Our colleague in the middle, peace be upon you. Thanks for valuable lecture, which I wished it didn't end. It filled my heart with light. I see that this lecture is fit for everyone to hear and inspire. This raised a question in my mind while you are giving your sermon and or lecture, that clergy and the clerics usually have big impact on people. When your reverence talked about one human family, it's a sermon for everyone. It will not be alien from anyone. Here the responsibility of clerics, all clerics in all faith. Your Eminence, do you see this responsibility one way or another? So the responsibility of the clerics, do they have any responsibility or in achieving and spreading tolerance and coexistence to promote peace in this world? Thank you. Thanks for the question. If you have any comment, thank you for the question. big and important question. I think that the clerics' role, if they are really the men of God, I'm not claiming I am in this level yet. We really need to be honest to ourselves. Before I teach, before I preach, I must live what I preach. That's an intrinsic issue. If I want to preach, I must live what I preach. Otherwise, because if I'm preaching and living different from what I preach, I will not be having any positive influence. In Oriental societies, we have that trait that we are all pious. We love to worship God. And this is very important. And this is a beautiful tool clerics can use, benefit from this piety everyone in the Oriental society is enjoying. Let's go back to Allah. Let's go back to a genuine religion that is promoting peace, calling for peace and love. The role of the cleric is not only educating, but also teaching, but also educating. This is how to live in your daily life, how parents should teach their children to live in peace and in love, the spontaneous that we touched and lived and found simply, naturally, without any pretense. So this is the real religion. Through education, and the role modeling and the taking care of the upcoming generations. Thank you very much for this question and shedding light on this issue. This is a cornerstone in the inclination and the policies made by our societies, mainly in the Middle East societies. Thank you so much for this. One more question, then one more. Dr. Khalifa Jamal Maharzi from Zayed's House for Islamic Culture. When we attended the specialized conferences and in the visits we paid to some countries, we noticed that minorities, for some, let me say religious minorities, are not integrating and assimilating in their societies. So the pictures of tolerance are not there. What we heard from your eminence, you highlighted this tolerance image, the assimilation of minorities in our bigger society. Let me ask, or let me say, what is the role you could undertake to deliver and forward this special message to the world? Thank you for this question. The experience we're living here and witnessing in the United Arab Emirates is really a global experience. Lots of minorities are living here. They can be coexisting, but the having holistic nature of the country as a whole is really so special. So just to find that this trend, this support of tolerance at the level of the state itself is really special. This recognition of the others, giving and treating him on equal foot with all the others. I feel that this United Arab Emirates has two traits. It's a state of law where all people are equal before the law, and also meritocracy. We have this meritocracy system. So this makes United Arab Emirates a special state as in terms of law and in terms of competence in all the conferences that would come. And I believe that the whole world became a small village in which everyone knows what is going on in the other side of the world. We feel, and let me assure you that love is felt, whether in Egypt, whether here, or it is felt in every place in the world. Once we talk about the United Arab Emirates, you see the faces look bright. They grin. Let's ask God to continue His blessings on this country. And we must say that everyone is responsible, and every individual is responsible for caring of this plant, of this spirit, to give its fruit for the coming generation. But talking about the world, believe me, all of the world is indicating its finger on the United Arab Emirates because it's playing a leading role in love and tolerance. Thank you. Emirate. The United Arab Emirates would never have been like this without your contributions. Thanks for this speech. You just mentioned, Your Honor, religions are a source of tolerance. But what we see and witness today, that these religions are a reason for sectarianism and conflicts, religious conflicts. Do you believe, Your Reverence and Eminence, and do you believe with the principle of separation of religion and from statehood? Separate religion from politics. Thanks for this question. What is religion? Its nature. What is the nature and essence of religion? Is the relationship of God and individual relation to God. The land on which we live as individuals, as law, as system, are all based on and intend to build the community, the society. And this is the purpose and the objective of Allah, building the society, the human society. But the essence of all religion is the relationship between individuals and God. Let's clarify this. When I go back, when I restore to Allah, I feel that I'm restoring to my brother in humanity, because we are all made by one Father, the God. I cannot be with God and at the same time against my individuals. In this case, if I am really a good worshipper, a good religious and pious, I will not hate my brother. We are all made by the same Father. So the laws, by the godly laws, the state laws that are promoting peace and love, must be respected, must be honored. So this co-living, this coexistence with others should be inspired, should be always guided and governed by Allah's and God's ordinance. God respects me to worship my fellow human beings, to worship and respect my leaders, to respect my statesmen every day, even when we are telling our prayers. We pray for the President of the earth. In every mass we hold, we pray for plants, for grass, for trees. We pray for the President of the country, the slave of Allah. When we pray, this means that religion is helping and supporting the system, the people, the leaders, the individuals. But this doesn't mean interference in the law, but the law is man-made. But this law must be respected by all citizens, by all people, individuals. In the Bible, for example, so all people should respect and obey the statesmen and leaders, governors, but there must be a particular relationship between the individual and Allah. I'd like to conclude this symposium with your question, Your Eminence. Thank you. Priest Yusuf Farajallah, Council of Evangelic Councils in Abu Dhabi, churches. I thank you, your father, my father, and I'm proud I'm part of the evangelic churches in the Emirates. And I consider what you said is a real, genuine expression in the beautiful way you just put. For all what we have in life as Christians, we are happy to be here in the Emirates, and we enjoy all the graces and the civilization and tolerance Emirates is giving. And I suggest the panel chair to make the lecture and PowerPoint presented by our Father Bishoy to be educational to everyone. The question at the end is practical also. In all what we might, we are praying daily for the United Arab Emirates and the rulers of the Emirates and for the people, trying to make those we are curating to understand the real meaning of Allah, the real meaning of love for others. These are all beautiful values. And as my work requires, I meet lots of people in the judiciary, in the Fatwa Council. What we really want, maybe the Strategic Center for Strategic Studies can devise a way to establish the common grounds for cooperation between the Christians and the Muslims. How can we work together to achieve what couldn't be achieved unless we work together to hear and listen to each other? I can't speak on behalf of the organizers, though I consider myself a member and of the family of the center. All thanks to His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Al-Suwaidi, but this is a request that we'll try make sure that we'll handle, and your testament and certification and talking about my country about this way is a great honor for us. I'd like to give the last word to Reverend Bishoy Fakhri, in conclusion of this symposium. I'm honored to be here in this place. And again, I thank Professor Jamal Al-Suwaidi, and I consider our life here in this place as a grace and a blessing. And I consider as a genuine message, living every day, consecrating every day our values of love and tolerance for everyone. Generosity and the value of giving should be an instilled value in our children, in our families. So anyone who is having any kind of curation, any kind of education or relation in the term of education to the other generations, that all our children and generations should be encouraged to live these values, because I believe that love is the nature of Allah. It's not just an ordinary virtue, it is the real turning back and restoration to Allah. Love is when I give, when I tolerate. So giving is more blessed than taking. I hope that the coming generations will enjoy the same blessings under the spirit we are living here in this country. All thanks go to Reverend Bishoy Fakhri. I'd like to apologize from the audience who couldn't answer their questions, but I hope dialogue and debate will continue even after the end of this symposium.
would like to express our appreciation for His Excellency Bishop Fakhri Dr. Maksud Khouz. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end to the UAE and its Consolidation of Culture of Tolerance and Coexistence locally and globally symposium in the name of His Excellency Professor Jamal Sanad Suwaidi, the Director General of the ECSSR. I would like to once more thank
ولكم أيها الإخوة والأخوات الحضور والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
يعطيك العافية. It's been an honor. تسلم.
الله يخليك شكرا لك.
عملك. بسم الله.
تفضل. ما بيصير.
تسلم.